Welcome back to the Means Report. We appreciate you staying with us as we continue to take a behind-the-scenes look at two big documentaries in the works. One on General Norman Schwarzkopf, one on Augusta's own Ed Gillespie. We heard from Mark Alberton, filmmaker. Now we're going to hear from the other half of the equation in these projects. It's General Perry Smith, who I welcome back to the Means Report wholeheartedly. You're such a great guest, General Smith. Thanks for being back.
My great pleasure. Thank you.
You know, you are all about preserving legacies, whether it is Jimmy Dias, Hervey Cleckley, in this case, Schwarzkopf and Gillespie. What motivates you to preserve somebody's legacy? What's the point?
Well, the point is that when I was young, I didn't know my grandfathers, and they didn't write anything, and nothing was written about them. And when I did my memoir, I realized that I wanted to tell stories about my family. I didn't know anything about it. So I decided that that was important to preserve legacies. And then when I came to Augusta and realized that nothing was being done for Jimmy Dias, I said, oh, we got to do something. So I did the book, and then I got together with Mark and we did the Jimmy Dias video. And then we did the Hervey Cleckley video, my wife's uncle. And then I thought, Schwarzkopf, there's no documentary on him. I said, well, he was a friend, I got to do that. And then I thought, oh, Ed Gillespie. So one after the other. But working with Mark Alberton is a pleasure. I basically write the script. He has a wonderful narrator. And then I take my script, give it to my wife, Connor, who's an English major, and she polishes it up.
She proofreads it?
Oh, yeah. And then we go with Mark. And so it's a cooperative thing, but I write the original script. And it's a wonderfully creative experience. And this documentary will last for decades for people to look back on. And people like Schwarzkopf is a real role model. And Ed Gillespie is a real role model. And what he has done in the area of health science, 4 major accomplishments when he was the head of University Hospital, and it has to be recorded. And he was reluctant to do it, but then he said, okay, we'll do it.
Yeah, and if Mr. Gillespie is watching, thank you. I know you're humble, but this needs to be done, as General Smith said. What about Schwarzkopf? I think of Vietnam. I think of the U.S. versus Iraq in Desert Shield and Desert Storm. What motivated you to say, okay, I'm going to pick him for my next subject?
Well, of all the famous people I have known well, he is at the top of the list because I knew him at West Point. We were in the same company at West Point. I actually worked for him. He was a cadet captain. I was a cadet lieutenant. And I was searching the internet. I couldn't find a documentary on it. If you look for a Schwarzkopf documentary, you get to see about some kind of a piece of equipment out there. There's a documentary on a roller coaster in Cleveland or something like that. So I decided we needed to do that. And of course, I got together with the family. They thought it was a really good idea. And then I went to his friends and they said, oh, sure, we'd be happy to be interviewed. And so we put it all together, raised the money for it. Mark's going to travel all over the country to interview people. But you got to realize that Schwarzkopf had 2 combat missions in Vietnam. And then he had a combat mission in Grenada. And so what he entered the command of Desert Storm with more combat experience than any general officer we've ever had in our history. I mean, Washington had some, and Lee had some, but Schwarzkopf has had more. So he has had a wonderful career, did a lot of stuff for the country, really should be a role model, not only for military people, and then enormous creativity, particularly in Desert Storm. He did some things that had never been done before.
You think he reshaped the way we fight wars?
He did, although I'm not sure the lessons have been learned completely. They should have been learned, but he showed that air power ahead of time, given enough time, he was very patient, 5 weeks of air power, and then the ground campaign started. So he only lost 148 soldiers dead in a major combat between 2 forces of more than 500,000 each. And how wonderful it was he lost so few people. He cared about soldiers. He'd seen them die. He had saved people on the battlefield. So he said, I don't want to go and fight until I'm ready.
Yeah, you're right. He'd soften those targets and then send the troops in. Let me read this. You list General Schwarzkopf among some all-timers. Alexander the Great, Caesar, Julius Caesar, who gave us the calendar of all things, and Napoleon, who helped push liberty and equality. Number one, you think Schwarzkopf is that level? Number two, did you notice that kind of greatness at West Point?
Well, I noticed real good leadership and a really smart mind, a really good mind, but I didn't think in terms of him doing the kind of things that he did. Now, as far as keeping him at what level is he? Is he at the level of Robert E. Lee or Grant or Pershing or Eisenhower or Patton? He's up there somewhere.
Wow.
But I am so prejudiced in his favor that I'm not the right guy to ask that question, I think.
Well, he's well worth this documentary, and I cannot wait to see what y'all do with this. What about the other honoree, Ed Gillespie? This is a man who you mentioned had such a heavy hand in the way healthcare looks and feels in Augusta, Georgia, a Dias Award winner. How's that project going so far? I asked Mark this. Are you finding that the community loves this man and wants to help you?
Yes, and he did 4 major things when he was here. When he came to University Hospital, he totally restructured the University Hospital, turned it into a regional hospital. Then he started Brandon Weil, the great organization out on Columbia, or out on Washington Road. Yep. Then he started Health Central. Then he started Walton Rehab. He accomplished more significant things than anybody in the last 100 years in Augusta.
General Smith, Brandon Weil, to me, appears to be the gold standard. Have you seen its equal in all your travels? That's something special we have.
Yes, it is. It's very special. I have not seen anything as good as that. Mm-hmm. My wife's mother lived out there. She was a pioneer out there. We were impressed then and we're impressed now. It's a really first-rate place. There are some very good retirement communities in Augusta. And I don't want to downroad those, but Brandon Weil is the gold standard.
I love that you referred to Ed Gillespie as a perpetual optimist.
Yes.
You know, I think it's one thing to be optimistic. It's another thing to stay that way. What are your memories of him that made you realize he was that kind of guy?
Well, first of all, he's a great tennis player, and he's a very competitive guy. He never uses a bad word. He never makes a bad call. If it's a call, he'll always call it in favor of the opponent.
Wow.
And there are all kinds of other things. He's got a great sense of humor. He's got a first-class mind, and he's a great carpenter and electrician. He does all kinds of things for you, and he's always on top of things. He's my chauffeur. He takes me around all the time. He's an absolute delightful guy. He's very creative. I mean, you put it all together, optimism, creativity, leadership, all those things. I haven't found anybody who doesn't like him. He had 1,000 doctors, and I have not found one who didn't think the world of this guy. I mean, he is a very special person.
You know, you mentioned leadership, and you've been such a positive force in that area, helping individuals and companies be better because of your knowledge of how to lead. You said Ed Gillespie was a straight shooter. How important is it to be that way? We're so concerned about people's feelings and tiptoeing around sometimes. How do you even be a straight shooter?
Well, if you're just honest and you're forthright, you're polite, and when you criticize somebody, you do it quietly and not in front of a whole lot of other people. You set very high standards. You listen to people. You welcome criticism. When I used to run organizations, when I got together with my folks, I say, please criticize me. Let me know when I'm making a mistake, and we'll fix it. And also, of course, ask questions. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What should we be doing that we're not doing? And Ed and Norm both have those qualities.
How can the community help you? What do you need from us to make these documentaries successful?
Well, anybody who has good stories on Ed Gillespie should contact Mark Albertson and get the interview in. Even though the stories may be not all that exciting, but good stories. That would be one way you can help. The second thing, of course, is try to spread the word on good leadership and use them as models for you in your life. And that would be very helpful. As far as Schwarzkopf, I don't need a whole lot of that because I knew him well, I know his friends well, and I have a lot of contacts. But we will make sure that people in the community get to see both the videos. We'll have some kind of a world premiere or something so that people get to see them either at the museum or at the Imperial Theater or someplace like that.
2 quick questions. If you give financially, especially to help pay for the logistics involved in these projects, Can you get your name in the credits?
Yes, we promised everybody who contributed that they would get their name in the credits. And we've gotten about 25 people supporting the Schwarzkopf one, and probably 15, and so we're fully funded. We don't need any more money.
Wow.
We just need people for interviews.
Last question, which do you like better, because you've done both and you've done them well, books or videos?
Oh boy, that's a good question. I've written 7 books. Most of them failed pretty miserably.
No!
But a couple of them did pretty well. No, I enjoy writing more than I do the video stuff. The video is kind of a new skill. I'm not all that good at it. Mark's the guy who's good at it. But no, writing books. And I've written 7 and enjoyed each one.
Yeah, they're great. And people need to read more.
Yes.
Everybody needs to read more.
It's a dying art. I have a phrase, which is, reading books can seriously damage your ignorance. And I tell when I teach at Emory, and I teach at Emory all the time, I say, if you don't read books, you have no depth. And people need to take into their job more than the superficiality they get out of the media or out of the internet. And so reading books is very important. I'm a speed reader. I read a lot of books, and I encourage others to do so.
Oh, thank you for saying that. General Perry Smith, thanks for all you're doing. All the best to you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. General Perry Smith. When we come back, how you can help us get more great guests like the ones we had today on the Means Report.